few videos ago, I shared about how there would be a more detailed version of why I'm actually showing up here the way I am on YouTube, and today's the day. Thought I would share that as I'm driving home, and I'll try to do the short version. But back in the spring, it's like the thought of showing up on YouTube popped in my mind, and it was really interesting because even though this has not been anything I would ever think I would do and had no desire at all, the thought came to me in a very nonchalant way, almost matter of fact, where I knew it was going to happen at some point. But yet it was surprising, but I don't know, it was kind of just like, okay, I think this is going to happen. But I even mentioned it to my husband, but I said I'm going to wait till, the fall, just because there's different, projects that I do at different times of the year, and so I thought, okay, I'll just wait and start doing it in the fall. So I, continue to do the things that I do, which is I've had a podcast for going on 9 years, and so a few years ago we did start uploading, my podcast to the YouTube channel, and so there's been random things like that. Mainly it has been the podcast, and then a few years ago I developed a seasonal journal, and so recently we have made a separate podcast for that, and we also share the audios for that on YouTube. And I personally spend a lot of time on YouTube. That is, I don't watch regular television or even like Netflix and stuff like that. For years, YouTube has been my go-to for my entertainment and downtime, and actually that's where I get my news, everything. It's kind of like, that's my space. So in some ways, when I did have the thought of showing up on YouTube in a different way, it felt kind of like home because I spend so much time on YouTube, and I kind of had the thought of like, okay, Susan, this is where you spend all your time, yet all your work is on other platforms. I mean, you do share some of it here, but you don't really show up here. And a lot of my work is writing with the journal and the podcast and things I do. But the idea and thought I had about showing up here was something totally different, because a lot of the things I do in art and like I said, writing, it is stuff I'm working on and producing, and there's a production to it, and so it's put out into the world in a different way. And so my thought was, you're going to show up here in a different way, which again, showing up on video and sharing in this way is nothing I have ever desired to do. And I don't know. So yeah, so that's that. So that was the spring. So fast forward, well, not really fast forward. Okay, so on another part of my life, I have for the last several years had some stomach issues, and have researched and done all kind of different things health-wise and with my diet, just trying to figure out what's going on. And I kind of have a general idea, but there hasn't been a clear diagnosis of what the issue is. So it's been a journey, and I have found that different things I've tried, different ways of eating, fasting, different things, has been very helpful. But what I've noticed is, as my body has healed, because I do believe our bodies, when we put them in certain ways, I'm trying to think how to say it, that they can heal themselves. When we allow them to work as they should and kind of do different things to help aid in that, our bodies do have the ability to heal themselves. And I have seen healing in my digestion and my microbiome by different ways I have eaten and different changes I've made. But I've noticed that sometimes then that season's over with that way of eating and food restriction. And so then I have to kind of tweak things and figure things out. So recently I started investigating alternate day fasting, which is something I'd heard about, but I had never particularly done that that way of fasting before, but I thought, okay, what I'm doing needs to be tweaked, and I just kind of kept thinking about that from somebody else I was listening to, and decided to do that. So as I started doing alternate day fasting, sometimes at night, instead of giving into any cravings or anything, I would then just put in the search bar on YouTube alternate day fasting, and it would pull up different people that were talking about it, because the people I listened to, I'd already watched all the videos, so I would just like kind of search for anybody new that was out there talking about it. So this person showed up in the search that I started watching, and she was talking about her story, how she'd lost over 100 pounds, and I thought it was interesting and motivational, so I was watching her. And I love reading comments. When I watch videos, I always scroll down and read comments. I'm a big comment reader. And so I did this with her videos, and I don't think it was the first time I ever watched her. It was probably several episodes in. I did that. I was scrolling down and I was reading the comments, and I noticed one of the comments said, "Oh, you're the DoorDash girl." And so when I read that, I was like, what? What's the DoorDash girl? And so I then put in DoorDash into the comment, and it brought up another channel of this girl. Her name's Latoya, and she obviously, her job was DoorDash. And so she would document on this other channel her adventures when she was out door dashing. Okay, so here's what's interesting. By this time that I had found her, it was the end of summer. And like most of us do, like I told you, the thought I had in spring of like about doing the YouTube. And honestly, like I said, it felt very instructional, like I was being led by the Holy Spirit of that plan for the fall. But as we contend to do, we can say yes and think, okay, yeah, I'll do that. But then as something gets closer, then we're kind of like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this. So I did see, as fall was approaching, I wasn't, it was still in my mind, but I was just kind of like, kind of like not taking any steps moving forward in it in that way. So anyway, I'm on DoorDash's thing, and she is talking about how if you are over this particular age, which I would fall into that category, you need to be on YouTube. And it's like she's speaking directly to me of like, you need to be on YouTube. Basically encouraging me to do what I'd already been told to do, and in a big way. So I found myself then kind of continuing to watch her and feel inspired to move forward in this. So I did. I started showing up, and within a few weeks of doing that, I actually then came across Dash of Faith, G, and I feel like he's become a friend to where we've talked back and forth, and he's someone that also had found DoorDash and was inspired by what she was sharing and saying, and started showing up on YouTube as well. And it's been so interesting that me stepping out and doing what I felt like I was supposed to be doing has opened so many doors, and I feel like I walked into a community that I didn't even know was available, which is weird because, like I said, I spent lots of time on YouTube, so I was like interacting from the other way, but it never even crossed my mind of, why are you not showing up here in this space? And for one, it's because I never desired to show up in this way on any kind of space. A lot of what I'm doing is writing, and I'm doing, visual arts and things like that. And I do speaking, and I do like that, but as far as video, that was never my thing. So this would not be something that I would like say, okay, hey, let me explore and do this. But here I am. So here's my point in this. As I've gotten older, I am quite confident that this is how God works in our lives. I think when we have the posture of trusting the Holy Spirit to lead us and guide us, then we have to open our ears and our hearts. And when things are opened up to us and we feel inclined and led to do something, we need to take those steps, no matter how awkward it might feel, or we might think we're missing it, then you know what? And we will miss it. But it's like, what does it hurt to take the next step forward and to see? And I've just have been floored and just amazed at how this step of obedience has felt so confirmed by the community that I am finding. And I'm just excited about what's to come. So I want to encourage you that if you're watching this and you have felt led and drawn to this avenue, do it. Do it. Do it afraid. Do it imperfectly, but just do it. And I'm glad you're here and you're welcome here. And I'm excited about what God is doing in the hashtag Hope Crew. That's what somebody in one of the comments named it. And I love that because I feel like we all can use hope in our life, and our God's all about offering hope. So I'm loving all these voices rising up and just spreading life and hope to everyone. So I hope y'all have a great weekend, and I'll talk soon.